are today, Be'ezrat Hashem, doing Samech Dalet Amud Bet. We are on Samech Dalet Amud Bet in the middle. So by the two dots, it says Girsha Muteret. So we're talking about a lady who was married for 10 years to somebody, and he did not have any children from her. So the Mishnah taught us that maybe they're not zochet to have a child together. He still has a chiyuv of pirya v'rviyah, so he marries somebody else. And if he gives her a get, she can marry someone who doesn't have children and maybe have children with him. Meaning, we don't say that by one time, now it's proven that she can't have children. Maybe just this person didn't work out, but she can have children with somebody else. So says the Gemara, Shenin Shlishi Lo. Sounds like she could marry a second person, but a third person, no. It sounds like after two times, Chazakah is that she doesn't have children and she can't marry a third one unless the guy already has kids and did Pirya V'Riviyah. So the Gemara says, Matnitin Mani, who is our Mishnah? Rebbe. Our Mishnah is Rebbe. Titania. Mala Rishona Vamed. Let's say somebody did a Brit Milah to their first child and he was Niftar. Sheni Vamed did Milah to the second child, was Niftar. Shlishi Lo Timol. Devei Rebbe. Rebbe holds after two times the Chazakah. You don't do Milah on the third one. Rabban Shimon Gamliel Mer Shlishi Timol. Rabban Shimon Gamliel says no, you may do Milah on the third one. Revi'i Lo Timol. The fourth one you don't do Milah. Meaning he holds you need three to make the chazakah over here. Vatanya Yibcha, the Gemara says, we have the other way around, that Rebbe says three times and Rabban Shimon Gamliel says two times. So the Gemara says, Minayu Achronita. We have to see whichever one is last, that's the correct one. Tashema. Damar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Ma'aseh bar Abba Chayot Betzipore. So they bring from Rabbi Chia bar Abba, the Braita brings from Rabbi Chia bar Abba, who heard from Rabbi Yochanan. There was a story of four sisters in Sipore. Shemala Rishona Vamet. The first sister did Brit Milah on her child, mit. Shniya Vamet. Second sister did Brit Milah on her child, mit. Shlishit Vamet. Third sister did a Brit Milah on her child, mit. Revi'id Bad Lifnei Rabban Shimon Gamliel. Amar la al timoli. The fourth one came to Rabban Shimon Gamliel. He said, don't do Milah. So what do you see? You see Rabban Shimon Gamliel is the one that says you need three to make a chazakah. On the fourth one, don't do milah. Says the Gemara, V'dilma i'atia shilishit nami hava amarla. Says the Gemara says, what are you talking about? You have no proof from there. The fourth one happened to come ask the question from Rabban Shimon Gamliel, but maybe if the third one would have asked the question also, he would have told her that you should not do milah. So maybe he holds really by two it makes a chazakah. The third one shouldn't have done the brit milah either. She just didn't come to ask. So the Gemara says, Imkin ma'yasa adute de Rabbi Chia bar Abba. If that's the case, what's Rabbi Chia bar Abba coming to teach me? He's coming to say, oh, I heard from Rabbi Yochanan the following thing. What's the chidush over there? So says the Gemara, V'dilma kamashman da'achayot muchzakot. Maybe the chidush of the whole story is not the three times versus two times is a chazakah. The chidush is that it wasn't one lady who had multiple children. They were sisters. The chidush is that achayot muchzakot, that if one sister has a child who's made machmat milah, and the second one also, that will create a chazakah, even though they're not children of the same mother, but they're children of sisters. Because whatever causes a child to be made machmat milah travels through the mother's family. Amar Rava. Now that we came to this conclusion that achayot muchzakot, that sisters create a chazakah, so a person should not marry a woman from a household that they're nichbin or mitzoraim, that they have certain diseases, because that can be transmitted through the related sisters. If the sister has, so the other sister could have. That's if you have three times they have it, so then there's a chazakah. My havala. So Gemara says, okay, at the end of the day, what happened to the question we were talking about? Is it two times or is it three times? So Kiyata Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef Amar. When Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef came, he said, okay, Tov. said, Uvda hava kamed Rabbi Yochanan b'chnishta demeon. There was, one time this maaseh happened in front of Rabbi Yochanan in the area of Meon, in the gathering area of the Beit Knesset of Meon. B'yom HaKippurim shechal liot b'Shabbat. It was Yom Kippur, Shabbat. Mala Rishona v'amet, Shniya v'amet, Shlishit ba'ad lefanav. So this lady had two children that were met machmat milah, and now the third brit milah is supposed to be on Shabbat, Yom Kippur. So she came to Rabbi Yochanan. She said, "Today is the day of the brit milah. What are we supposed to do? I have two children that were metim machmat milah." So Amar la lechimoli. He told her, "Go do the milah," because you see from here that he holds that the third one makes a chazakah. After two, there's no chazakah. After three, there's a chazakah. Amar le Abaye, chazi de kasharet isur v'sakanta. Abaye said, "I see that you're allowing an isur over here and a sakana," meaning isur because if really it's not supposed to be done right now and you're supposed to wait because the brothers were metim machmat milah, so then you shouldn't be doing it on Shabbat. A milah that's not bisman is not doche Shabbat. So the fact that you're saying to do it right now, one thing you have to take into account is the Yisur of Shabbat and Yom Kippur, and you're allowing it. That means you really hold that it should be done right now. And Sakanta also, it's a sakana for the child, but you're allowing it, meaning you hold very strongly that 2 times doesn't make any chazakah, and there's no Isur, there's no sakana, and you do the Brit Milah on Shabbat Yom Kippur. So Samachala Abaye, so Abaye relied on this teaching. Va'azan nasva l'choma barta dizi berei de Rav Yitzchak. So Abaye went and he married Choma, the daughter of Rav Yitzchak berei de Rav Yehuda. That what's the story with this lady? Denas v'Rechava de Pumbedita v'Shachiv. Rechava from Pumbedita first married this lady, and he was niftar. Rav Yitzchak berei de Rabba Bar Chana v'Shachiv. Then Rabbi Yitzchak, the son of Rabba Bar Chana, married her, and he was niftar. So Abaye heard this teaching of Rabbi Yochanan that after 2 times doesn't make a chazaka yet, the 3rd time makes a chazaka. So he said, okay, so she's not a katlanit yet. There's no chazaka that whoever she marries is going to be niftar. So nasvahu, so Abaye married her v'shachiv, and he was niftar also. So trivia question: how was Abaye niftar? Because he married this woman Choma, the daughter of Isi ber Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar Rava, so Rava said, Umiika David Uvda ben Avsheki Hai. Well, so somebody's going to do this to themselves, like, to put themselves in sakana. Vayu Damar Avin de Samcha Yitzchak Sum Chalav Bar Samcha. First of all, Abaye is the one that says that anything that's said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, if Avin said it, you could rely on him. If Rabbi Yitzchak said it, you can't always rely on him. He's not a Bar Samcha. Why? Because Avin Yeshnu B'Chazara. Because Avin was very close to Rabbi Yochanan, and if Rabbi Yochanan ever was choser on something, Avin would know about it right away. But Yitzchak Sumcha Lav Bar Samcha. Yitzchak Sumka, he was not a Bar Samcha, meaning, Eno B'Chazara. He is not around always to know if Rabbi Yochanan was choser. So he'll have the psak from Rabbi Yochanan, but he's not necessarily going to know if Rabbi Yochanan changes his mind. So you can't always rely on everything he says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So Abaye was relying on this teaching b'shem Rabbi Yochanan that came from Rabbi Yitzchak. V'od, and the Gemara says, I had another question. Emar de pligi le'inyan milah b'nisuin mi pligi. They're arguing regarding milah, meaning the machloket we have about whether 2 times is a chazakah or 3 times is a chazakah. That's by milah, but by nisuin, by marrying a katlanit, a woman who she was married before to different people and they were niftarim. So who says they argue? Maybe in that case everybody agrees 2 times. Maybe by milah that the chazakah is a little bit different. It's chazakah on the mother. There's some physical type of thing, or maybe milah is a mitzvah dafka to be mal your child. You can't get out of it, but by nisuin, so maybe don't marry her, marry somebody else. So maybe everybody agrees that after 2 times you shouldn't marry her. So the Gemara says, yes, no, it's still a machloket. They still have the same machloket. Vatanya, nised lerishon vamet, lasheni vamet, l'shlishi lo tinaseh. Divrei Rebbe. Rebbe holds 2 times of a woman being married and her husband being niftar makes a chazakah that she's a katlanit, she should not marry anybody else. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel omer lishlishit tinaser. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel still says no, she can marry the third. L'revi'i lo tinaser. The fourth she cannot marry. So he holds you need 3 times to make a chazakah, and Rebbe holds after 2 times already a chazakah. The third one should not marry. So the Gemara says Bishlam gabe milah ika mishpacha derafi dama ika mishpacha dekami dama. When it comes to milah, I understand the chazakah. You have some families that they have issues with their blood clotting, and some families that don't have issues with their blood clotting. Okay, so some families, that's part of the family wants a chazakah, so then you shouldn't do the milah bisman. El nisuin ma'ita'ama, but what's the reason by nisuin? What's the reason that there's some chazakah over here? So Rav Amar Rav Mordechai Rashi Hachi Amar Avimi Mehagronia Mishmei Rav Huna Ma'ayan Gorem Avimi Mehagronia says the reason there's a chazakah by a lady who's a katlani is because it's a physical thing. Ma'ayan Gorem, the biyah that happens transmits some type of disease. It's the ma'ayan, the mekor, that is gorem, that causes the person to be niftar. So anytime she gets married, she's transmitting a disease to the person that's niftar. That's what the chazakah is. Rashi Amar Mazal Gorem. Rashi says no, has nothing to do with that. It's her mazal. Once, 3 times she was married and the person was niftar. Already you see that her mazal causes the person to be niftar. She's not a good mazal to marry her. So my beinai, what's the difference whether it's ma'ayan gorem, whether it's a disease transmitted through the bia, or mazal gorem, or it's her mazal? So ika beinayu the irsavemet. One difference is if a person just had kiddushin with this lady, was ma'ares the lady, and then he was niftar. So is that considered part of if you say ma'ayan gorem, that it's transmitted through bia, there was never any bia. So this is not. This doesn't count as part of the chazakah. But if you say mazal gorem, that it's her mazal that causes it, so then it's part of the chazakah. Inami the nafal b'dikla umit. Or another nafkamina would be if the husband was niftar in some way that wasn't a disease. For example, he fell off of a tree or something. So if you say mazal gorem, so then that's part of the chazakah. It was the mazal that caused it. If you say ma'ayan gorem, there was no disease that was transmitted to it. So Amal Rav Yosef Berei de Rava Lerava. So Rav Yosef said to Rav, Ba'im mineh merav Yosef halacha k'Rebbi v'amar li'in halacha k'Ravan Shimon ben Gamliel v'amar li'in achuchi achich bi. So Rav Yosef said to Rava, I asked Rabbi Yosef, what's the halacha? Is halacha like Rebbe, that 2 times is a chazakah? He said yes. Halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, that 3 times is a chazakah? He said yes. So he's like making fun of me. Achuchi achichbi. Amar le, lo stamehi upashit lach. He said no, it's not the case. He's not making fun of you. Stamehi upashit lach. We have stam mishnayot that are different, and he's answering it for you. Nisuin u'malkut kerebi. When it comes to nisuin and it comes to malkut, we paskin like Rebbe that 2 times is a chazakah. Vestot v'shor muad k'Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. When it comes to vestot and shor muad, we paskin like Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel that 3 times is a chazakah. So nisuin hadamra. Nisuin is the case that we said before, the case of our Mishnah. Malkut, what's the case of malkut that we say 2 times is a chazakah? Ditnan. Mi shelaka veshina. Somebody who he got malkut and he was over again and he got malkut again a second time. The Rishonim explained that we're talking about someone who was over chayvei kritut, but he couldn't get a mitah bedin. He got malkut. So bedin konsin oto lechipa umachlin oto seorim. Once he was over twice, and we see he doesn't care about the chayvei kritut, and he doesn't care to get malkut because of it. So Beit Din take more extreme measures, and they put him into this cell called the kippah, and they just give him like minimal amount of food until he's eventually niftar. So by that the Rishonim say, because where you have to be ma'avir the rishut, we have to rid the olam of rishut. So by 2 times we call this a chazakah. Vestot, what about vestot? That we said is 3 times. It's not in Aisha kovad la veset ad shetivkaina shalosh pa'amim. That a woman doesn't establish a veset doesn't establish a menstrual cycle, there are different halachot regarding a woman establishing a menstrual cycle. So if she establishes a set cycle that creates a chazakah, that she needs 3 times. And once it's established 3 times, then she has to assume that it's going to be orach bizmano ba, it's going to come at that exact time. But ve'en mitaheret min haveset ad sheta'aker mimena shlosh pa'amim. And she doesn't uproot the veset until it's been undone 3 times. Meaning, for example, if she saw on the first of the month, Aleph Nisan, Aleph Iyar, Aleph Sivan, so she would have established a veset for every Aleph of every month, and she has to assume that it's coming the Aleph of next month, not a minute before, not a minute later. And in order to uproot that and not have to be choshesh for the Aleph of every month, she has to not see on the Aleph of every month for 3 times in a row. Shor Muad, what about Shor Muad? Titnan. Ein ashor na'aseh muad ad sheyahidu bo shalosha pa'amim. That shor doesn't become muad until 3 times they are me'id that shor gored, and then he becomes a muad. Okay, we'll stop here.